What's going on, people? It is MrAeroHD here. You can call me Irish, and welcome to episode 22 of Will It Drift. So, today's car is the Ford XB Falcon GT is the official title, but I'll just be calling it the Falcon. And it was suggested by MrAeroHD, who you probably recognise. So I know that this is Aero's car. This was Aero's VFD car for a while there, so I know that he's obviously gotten to work, and he obviously just wanted to see how I found it. But as standard, it comes with 300 horsepower, 380 foot-pounds of torque, and it weighs 3,047 pounds, sorry. And it's very, very bouncy. Like, there's endless body roll in this thing. All I could think was, when I was driving it, was, Nissan used to be called Datsun. Ford should have been called Dat Lean, because honestly, like, you're literally almost on two wheels the whole time. There's a reasonable enough amount of power in it, and it's been used, like, well-ish, I would say, but it needs a lot of stiffening. It needs a lot of, the suspension upgrades, and it also needs the weight loss, being, obviously, race weight reduction every time I say that. And a little more power could do it, but surprisingly, it was actually surprisingly driftable overall. I was, like, I know the way these old American cars are, they're kind of big and boaty, but they do, if you've ever seen, like, the old cop car chases, they are always sliding the rear ends out, so I didn't know really what to expect, but it definitely was strangely driftable. So now, for the medium build, it has 399 horsepower, 444 foot-pounds of torque, and it weighs 2,555 pounds. And the mods, I kept it the stock engine. I could have gone the kind of air quotes easy route and put in the Ford Mustang 2010 GT Mustang, whatever it's called, engine into it. But I decided that wouldn't really be doing it justice, to be honest. I wanted to get the original engine and see what I could get out of that. So I put in the twin screw supercharger, all drivetrain to race, springs and weight reduction. I had to say that slowly there, I always mess it up. And sport camshafts. And it's pretty fast. Most of the body roll is gone, but it's almost kind of gone from being too loose and too bouncy to being too stiff. There was just something about it that it was like very rigid, if you know what I mean. Like, it's as if Turn 10 realised that it would either, if you were to put in race springs, they knew that it was a bouncy fucker from the start. Like, so they extra stiffened it up with the stock settings of the race springs. But one of the things that stood out was it drifts well. It can hold angle. Even fourth gear is an option, which is unusual for medium builds. But it just wasn't very fun to drive. I don't know what it was, but just something about the medium stage. It wasn't very fun to drive. It was, like I said, it was overly stiff, and there was a struggle, and it was just a pain. But I'm happy to report now that the full build with 512 horsepower, 529 foot-pounds of torque, and weighing 2,500 pounds, with a full build and tune, was very, very solid. Nice speed out of it, nice acceleration. It gets off the line a lot quicker than it did. It's still reasonably controllable. It still has that element of big, boaty, American old school muscle thing about it, but it's controllable. It's still by no means my ideal car. It's still not something that I'd rush out to drift straight away. So that's one thing that I would have to say to Aero. I don't know how, it's been a while now. I think he's moved on since he used this, but I remember watching him in a couple of rounds at VFD where he was driving one of these, and I have to just commend him on that, because, like, that's impressive. It is by no means the easiest car to drift, or even the most enjoyable, but it was a weird one, because it went from being strangely okay to pretty awful, not awful, but like pretty just not fun, and I didn't really enjoy it, to being pretty okay again. So it was a weird transition throughout its kind of, air quotes, life, throughout the three stages. But I suppose the question now, as we come to the end of the run, is, hold on, is, will it drift? And the answer is yes. It's not going to be the most enjoyable experience, it's not going to be the fastest, it's not going to be the most controllable, but it definitely will. It's got the most horsepower. And the crazy thing about it is, even with the full build and the tune and everything, it's still only an A-class car, which is, I find strange. Well, with the way I built it, at least, it was still an A-class car. As ever, I didn't go crazy, I didn't overbuild it, put everything on it around. Sensible build. Yeah, it definitely will drift. It's not the best car in the world, but it definitely will. So check it out. I wouldn't rush out to check it out. Again, if you're tight on funds and you can't spring the whatever it costs, don't like pick something else before that. But yeah, it definitely will drift. So if you want it, definitely check it out. And if you enjoyed this video, please do leave a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new here. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.